Man, it's stupid freaking Streamlabs. I hadn't updated. I don't believe in updating it because every time I try, man, it always act janky. So who knows? Maybe I need to. I'm wait till the chat fill up a little bit. Weather man, yeah, I'm back, man. I'm back. Link was good. Tommy Bull, my brother. We're gonna talk about it, man. Blackbeard. Phil Spencer trying to cancel me, man. These mixer servers, man, they won't let me stream the mixer no more. Anyway, let me get started for this shit start crapping out again. Rumors, right? And I always say rumors because that's pretty much what all these bots talk about all day, and some of these media analysts and journalists and stuff. They talking about Jim Ryan don't want to play nice. They said Jim Ryan said, I don't want to work out a deal with you. I want this deal to be canceled. That's it. Omar Assassin was good. My brother was good. Listen, and here's the thing. If I'm the head of a corporation and the deal is in place that benefit me and my gamers, why am I going to help my competition to take that away from me? Does that literally make sense? Does that make sense? No Cap Podcast. My brother's sick. What's good, playa? What's good? Hey, man, you know I had to jump on here real quick and talk about some of this stuff that's going on. And I'm going to tell you this, man. It's I know a lot of people don't like Jim Ryan. I didn't even care for the guy. But one thing I cannot do, right? I can't smear his name when it comes to these games. This dude is providing for his fan base, as he should, as any CEO and president of a gaming corporation. That's their job, is to take care of their fan base, keep them happy, keep the money coming in. And Jim Ryan has done that. They're making record profits. They're up 400% across the board. They just dropped PSVR with 40 plus games, and every day they're adding more. You know what I'm saying? They got Spider-Man 2 coming out, Final Fantasy 16 coming out, Horizon Burning Shores coming out, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth coming out, right? They got the deal to Street Fighter, Evo, Tekken, all that stuff, right? All the third-party games and the first-party games. We got Wolverine coming out probably next year, you know? And I'm not just going into all the details of all the games we got coming. We know we got a shitload of games coming. But what I'm saying is I cannot knock Jim Ryan for taking care of his fan base. When you spend $400 and $500 on these next generation consoles, not including all the damn accessories, not including a lot of people spending new monitor, headphones, TVs, and all that stuff, right? When you're providing the top of the line TV shows that consistently break records, you know, when you're providing, you know, high-end movies of these IPs and stuff like that. When you have some of the best marketing out there with Ozzy Osbourne, LeBron James, and so on and so on. When you're taking care of your people, how can you knock somebody who's doing that? Jim Ryan is not going to help Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella and Brad Smith. That's not his job. His job is to not help them. His job is to focus on PlayStation and PlayStation Nation alone. It's not to worry about Nintendo. It's not to worry about all these other people. I don't care about that. Oh, we're all in this for gaming and it's for about 150 more users. That I don't want to hear that bullshit. Because if that really was the case, then Blizzard Activision, right? If they had access to 150 more people, they would already put Call of Duty and Warzone on those particular platforms, if that was the case. I mean, it's just the truth. It is literally the truth. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with Jim Ryan doing what he's doing right now. You know, let that be that. I ain't mad at Jim Ryan, man. He's doing what he need to do. Now, who I am mad at, I'm mad at Phil Spencer. And the reason I'm mad at Phil Spencer because I did spend my money on an Xbox Series X. I'm getting the worst running version of multiplats. My console of choice, my X Series X, right, is being held back by the weaker console. The developers are claiming that. Who else? Shitload of other people are doing the same thing. Shout out to my brother Blaze 4K, man. You know I appreciate you, my brother. my brother Blaze with the $10. He said, this man never texts me when he live. Hey man, you know I go random, brother. I just say, man, let me hit this button real quick and go live. None of my stuff be scheduled. I mean, but seriously, guys, can you blame Jim Ryan for not trying to help Phil Spencer? You got guys out here, they are mad. When I say they mad, I mean they are super mad. God damn you, Jim Ryan. Now, mind you, this Blizzard Activision deal doesn't really do much for the Xbox console itself. It just doesn't. But because Phil Spencer won it and Satya Nadella won it, then these guys are going to bat. They're attacking these pregnant ladies, Lena Khan. They're attacking the UK regulators. They're attacking the European Union folks. I mean, it's like some rabid dogs, man. Gamer Samurai Garage, shout out to you, brother. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate your comments. Jazz, what's going on, Jazz? What's good, my brother? Hope you're doing good today. I had to go live. My brother Kratos 99 in the house. Listen, man. Listen, I'm not a Jim Ryan. I'm not a Jim Ryan fan. You know, I really don't care for executives like that. But their job, right, is to be in the boardroom, spend money, harness the relationships, and get deals. Mello is Lil Riding Son. What's good, my brother? Glad to see you here. Rizla Blue Slim in the highs. You know, and a lot of these guys, they're mad at Jim Ryan. Well, he doesn't talk to his fans. Herman Hulse is not coming on their podcast, and he's not in DMs and super chats. Verge Brizzle, what's good, my brother? Buddha, what's up, player? Muck, I see you. Listen, I don't care for some executives to be in my DMs and to be on my podcast. That's not where their time is best spent. Levon, I see you, brother. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate it. I'm telling you, these executives, their time is best spent in the boardroom doing what they do. Simple. It's not out here with fanboys crying and whining, talking about other people's deals, talking about this, talking about that. Man, where the hell are games at? I knew I was gonna like Jim Ryan when he came out on that stage and said, "We're gonna shut up and let the games do the talking," and he left. That's what I like to see. Come out there, introduce yourself, tell us what you're about to show us, and get your ass out the way. Nesferatu, what's good, brother? Eric, my brother, what's good? James Williams, man, what's good, player? Johnny, I'm telling you, Depara, what's good, player? We don't need executives out here trying to be our friends. Your job is to go out there and make these bangers for us and our platform alone. Facts. Like Depara said, I don't need a friend. I need games. And see, here's the thing. A lot of these guys out here, because they have access to Phil Spencer and Aaron Greenberg, they think that these guys are their friends. They're not. Their job is to get their money. And listen, I'm willing to give you my money, but you gotta have a product for me. That's a fair exchange. I give you my money, you give me your games. Simple. But you got guys out here, well, Phil is my friend. He hadn't gave me any games in years, but he's still my friend. As long as he likes my tweet, as long as he follows me, as long as he jumps in from time to time in a party chat with me and my friends, I'm okay with that. That's crazy. The Iron Panther, I see you, my brother. Shout out to you. Salute. I'm telling you, man, this is crazy. Jim Ryan is out there working. He's cutting deals. And because of this whole fiasco, you're seeing a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you didn't know existed. This is the dirty side of the politic that goes on. And it seems like Jim Ryan and those guys over at Sony are outdoing Microsoft. And it's crazy because I was told Microsoft got all this money. They got the best lawyers. They got the best this and the best that. Not only is Sony outdoing them in the games department, the hardware department, but it seems like Sony has better lawyers. If Microsoft is taking out full page ads in the damn newspaper, trying to convince people, trying to force the CMA and the FTC and the European Union, trying to force their hand on agreeing with Microsoft, not knowing that a lot of these, in America, politics works a little bit different than it does around the rest of the world. You know, over in America, sometimes money will buy you stuff, right? You grease people palms and you can get away with a lot of stuff. That doesn't work that way across the world like that. And I think Microsoft is finding that out. Granted, Jim Ryan is from the UK. That's his territory. So of course he's going to have pull over there. He knows the politics over there. He knows what they can go for and what they can get away with over there. He knows the uphill battle that Microsoft has. You know, and it's sad when you see the president of Microsoft, Brad Smith, walk out on stage showing everybody how poorly they're doing in gaming and how good PlayStation is doing. How they control 80% of the UK market. Have you no shame? You're using the fact that you've done so horribly in gaming for the last 22 years that should be a reason that you get the one of the world's biggest IP. Hell no, that actually is a disadvantage. That means in 22 years you couldn't even harness your own stuff and make that successful. What makes you think you're gonna make this successful? Why should you be rewarded with that? Tommy Bull, my brother. Salute to you, player. Salute to you, fam. You know I appreciate that. My brother Tommy Bull with the $2. I was told PS5 would overheat and was underpowered. That's what we was told. That's what we was told, sir. Well, it seems like the PS5 is outdoing the world's most powerful console. And that's the sad part about it. Roy and Rogue, I see you, player. Worldwide Studios, my brother. Don John Sean. Andrew Wilkins was good. Yeah, they said Jim Ryan said he doesn't want the deal. He don't care what they offer him. He don't want to renegotiate. He want the deal canceled. And I'm not mad at him for saying that. He's saying his true feelings, and he's going to do what he can to make sure that happens. No amount of crying and whining by Xbox fanboys, by Blizzard Activision executives, or by Aaron Greenberg or Satya Nadella or Phil Spencer. No lies that they've been throwing out is going to change that. Now, the deal just may go through. It just may go through. And if it does, then so be it. But you're competing. And when you're in a competition, you don't want your competition to have an advantage. Clearly. But they're trying to shame Jim Ryan and shame Sony into making it seem like them just taking care of their fan base is a bad thing. Y'all remember they used to try to shame Sony by saying exclusives is anti-consumer and it's not what games is about. Remember Phil Spencer used to say that before they turn around and start creating some exclusives and buying exclusives and making them exclusives. Then they changed their tune. Microsoft is a bunch of liars. Jim Ryan said he didn't want this to play out in public. Normally business is done behind the scene, not public. But Microsoft went public first, and they've been out there public taking ads out in the newspaper and doing all of these stunts for these regulatory bodies and stuff like that. That shit is crazy, man. Crazy. Which is actually kind of sad. Because at the end of the day, Xbox still ain't got no games. They got out there on that stage last June and told us these are the games that you'll be playing within the next 12 months. And I'd be goddamn if they didn't come out yesterday talking about Starfield is coming out 4 months later. Yeah, we know we say 12 months, but we really mean 16 months. Come on, man. These guys are more mad at Jim Ryan and Sony for providing it for their gamers than they are at anybody else. True Virgil, my brother with the $2. I appreciate you, player. Phil is preferred 2-1 over Jim Ryan by gamers. You pony. Listen, like I said in the beginning, man. I really don't care about executives. Their job is to bring the bangers, bring the games that's to my console of choice. Simple. Blaze 4K. I agree with you. He said same resolution, but Xbox drops frame per second. It's all about what's in the box, not just the GPU. Absolutely. This is why Mark Cerny told y'all, you don't look at a T-flop number as an indication of performance. It's about the sum of all the parts together. It's not just about the GPU. It's not just about the CPU. It's about a combination of everything, the throughput, the memory speeds, the clock speeds, and everything else, all of the above. It's all of it working in unison. And most importantly, it's about how easy it is for the devs to harness that power. If you look at the PS3 era, right? It was a powerful system, but it was hard as hell for the developers to develop games on it. So that ended up being counterintuitive. So they got their ass stomped out, right? Simple. But I think Microsoft went the wrong way by touting power, because it's come back to bite them in the ass. Right now they have two consoles. One is a high-end X Series X 12 T-flop system, and the other is a low-end 4 T-flops Xbox Series S. And right now the developers are complaining that the Series S is holding back the X. So they're going to have to make a choice. And think about it. Right now, 80% of the Xbox Series consoles in people's homes now are the S model, not the X. So developers are not going to go and target the Series X, which, they're not going to go target the 20% when they got 80% on the table. So the developers are complaining, hey man, can you remove this parity? We got modes and features that we want to include in games, but we can't. Because Microsoft has a parity clause that says if you release a game on the Series S with features and stuff like that, you got to do the same for the X and vice versa. It is what it is. You have to acknowledge that. Stoney, my brother with the $5, I appreciate you, fam. I don't even think Xbox own first-party studios know how to get the most out of their hardware. Halo Infinite only getting ray tracing now? Yeah, man. And it's just shadows. It's not reflections. It's not all the other stuff, right? So, and at the end of the day, it's a little bit too little. It's too little, too late. And I think they harped on the fact that the Xbox Series X, they don't really have any first party games to take advantage of that hardware like that, right? They don't make those graphically demanding games that just pushes the needle. And they may never get that because you still have to take into account the Series S. And I know a lot of these podcasts like to tell you, oh, they can scale, they can do this, but clearly they can't. Shout out to C Fresh. He said Jim Lion Ryan, not lion, but he's a lion. Hey man, he is a lion, man. He out there telling them, no, I want y'all to cancel this shit by any means. And he's sticking to his guns. He's not trying to be on the phone with Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella working out shit. And I respect that. I respect that. That's what a real Don should do. That's what a real Don should do. I mean, am I lying? Yeah, see, here's the problem. Regardless of what these Xbox fanboys say, regardless of how emotional they get, the numbers don't lie. And at the end of the day, this game is all about numbers. Developers are going to go where the numbers are. Xbox has the numbers. Nintendo has the numbers. Xbox is niche worldwide. It's losing in the United States, in its home territory. Where else do you go from here? Starfield is not going to change that. Halo Infinite DLC is not going to change that. Redfall is not going to change that. We've been here before. Lincoln Clay, he said, I changed his name to Ruthless Ryan. Big facts, man. Listen, Jim Ryan has more respect today than he did before. Jim Ryan said, my hands don't sweat. I ain't buckling at all. B. Carter, my brother, was good. Yes, sir. Neon Berry. Eastern Conference game. Yeah, man. Listen, I'm going to tell you this. For a company that's worth $2 trillion, they're making a bunch of, how can I put it? Rookie type mistakes. They're counting on the goodwill of their fan base, the Xbots, right? The people that's out there going rah-rah, that's attacking Lena Khan, the FTC, Joe Biden, and the rest of those dudes, right? Quanvo, thank you for subscribing, brother. I appreciate that. Appreciate you, fam. They've been trying to use and leverage that like that was really going to make a bit of difference. The problem is the Xbox fan base isn't large enough to make a difference in gaming or to make a difference in bully somebody. You know, they sound loud on Twitter, but in reality, they're a bunch of pussycats. And we can tell by the games that they get and how they parade them. High Five Rush. They paraded that game out. They call it GOATY. That shit didn't even chart the MPD. And less than 30% of the people actually completed the game. And we can move on to Wulong. Same thing. Marketed by Xbox. Hell, it's in Game Pass. And less than 30% of the people actually beat the first boss. This is why I say Xbox is niche. It's fan bases and gamers. This is why Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella and the rest of those guys have to go out there and grab other fan bases. They have to go out there and grab the PC fan base. Now they're trying to go and grab the Nintendo fan base. They went and grabbed the Samsung fan base, Samsung TV fan base. They out there trying to grab Android and iPhone fan base. They just trying to go and grab everybody else and bring it under the Xbox umbrella. Come on, man. Look what PlayStation doing. They said, listen, we're going to focus on this damn PS5. This is where our fan base is. And after they beat the game, and after they had some time to buy it and get everything with it, then we'll try to port it over to the PC eventually. That's their motto, and I'm okay with that. I know some people not, but I'm okay with that. At least you're giving my console a preferential treatment. You're not telling me that PlayStation is no longer about a console; it's an ecosystem. That's not something that Jim Ryan would say. That's not something that Sony is trying to do. Matter of fact, they're trying to do the opposite. They're telling you, listen, I'm gonna drop this old game that's 2-3 years. I'm gonna put it on PC and entice you to go out there and pick you up a PS5 because the sequel to that game is coming soon. And by the way, here's high-end fidelity VR that's more high-end than anything on PC. So just pick you up a PS5 and pick you up a VR and then come over here. That's what they're trying to do. You see what I'm saying? Blackberry said 32% beat Forspoken. I'm just saying. Listen. Forspoken is not a first-party game. That's Square Enix. I keep telling that. I keep telling people that. You know, it's good, right? I ain't gonna lie, it's good. I beat the game. I bought it, beat the game. I think everybody should buy it and beat it. It's a great story, great everything, right? But we know people start shitting on it during the demo and they never look back. But it is what it is. But that's not a first party game. Just like Call of Duty is not a first party Xbox game. Now, they're going to take claim for that, just like they did Minecraft, even though Minecraft was already successful and printing money left and right before Microsoft bought them. You know, you can talk about these semantics, but they're just that. They're just semantics. But I mean, you know, again, we're sitting here talking about these executives. You got Phil Spencer, you know, he lies left and right. Now they got your girl. Man, they got her looking goofy. They put her out there. Sarah Bond, they put her out there. She went out there and got caught up in these lies, these web of lies. And see, here's the thing. They knew people trusted her. So she went out there and she said what she said. And that shit didn't work out quite right. So, but at this point, I think a lot of these guys, they really don't care about games. They're not here for the games. They're not here for gaming. They're here to socialize and have you know, and be in party chats with these Xbox executives. Big Dog, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for subscribing, man. Appreciate that. I really do. Curtis was good, player. Anyway, man, we got Final Fantasy 16 coming up in June. That thing is going to do some numbers. That thing is going to hit like a megaton. I'm going to be honest. I want Spider-Man to drop September the 6th. We almost got a Starfield versus God of War Ragnarok. They were supposed to be dropping the same month. I want Microsoft and I want Sony to drop their games. Come on, let's like Phil said, like Satya said, let's compete. All right, let's compete then. You laid out your game. We finna lay out our game. May the best man win. May the best man win. That's Misi, my brother. What's good, player? And another big misconception about these regulatory bodies, right? Like the CMA, the FTC and stuff. They're not fanboys. Their job is to look at the laws and to prevent these big mega corporations for creating monopolies in items that's going to affect the consumer, not just today, but tomorrow and next year and the years after. Their job is to protect the consumer. This is why they've been on their ass about these microtransactions, loot crates, and all, and you know, and all of this other goofy shit that goes on in gaming. That's their job. These people are not here to be fanboys and shake hands with these executives. And as a grown man and as a grown woman, if you think that these guys are out here just playing politics just because they don't like your favorite console of choice or your favorite executive or a company of choice, then you sadly mistaken. They could care less. It's just sad, man, seeing these dudes go out like this. And I'm talking about the Windows Centrals of the world. Shout out to Chris Edwards. I appreciate you, player. I appreciate you. But I really do, man. Let them compete. You know, and at the end of the day, it's really about games. That's all that matters. The games. I know dudes would like you to believe that it's not about the games. It's only about the games. It's always ever been about the games. Why do you think Nintendo's lasted so long? It's been decades since they've had the most powerful hardware. True Virgil, my brother. If Starfield win Goldie, I'm getting a new field tat. Oh man. Listen. I hope Starfield is good enough to win a Goldie. Do you know how long it took? How long it's been since Microsoft had a Game of the Year contender and winner? I think Halo 3 was the last one. I can't remember if it won or not, but yeah, Halo 3. Dude, you know how long ago that's been? On the other hand, pretty much every year Sony has, pretty much since they've been in gaming, they've had a GOTY contender. You know, maybe back in the PS3 era, there was, a couple of years that they didn't, but ever since then, they've always had, a GOTY contender, at least, one a year. Sometimes 3 and 4 a year. A lot of people are going to be like, well, damn, they're going to drop Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2 in the same year? Like, damn, that's a hard choice. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, man. For a lot of people, it is. God forbid they got some other stuff that they're not telling us just yet that's gonna drop this year. I mean, oof. Just saying. It's just one of those things, man. I just see these guys out here attacking Sony like they're supposed to help Microsoft do their job. That was Microsoft's job, was to go out there and work with third party and spend money to get some of that content for them. That was their mistake. They didn't do. They didn't invest into gaming for 3 whole years last generation. But dudes want to say Sony and PlayStation is holding Xbox back. You see what I'm saying? It's just crazy. But as a CEO, as a president of a company, as an executive of a company, your job is to fight for your customers. That's simple. You're supposed to provide them with the best games, the best services, and the best hardware for their price. And I ain't gonna lie, Sony's knocked out the park with that. Shout out to my brother Roy and Rogue. Appreciate you, brother, with the $5. He said, speak the truth, Dub. We need you more on the YouTube, man. I appreciate you, brother. I definitely appreciate you. I am going to try to do more of these. You know what I'm saying? Billy Akira, I see you. I can't wait for Resident Evil 4. It's going to be in VR, so I'm going to be on there on the PlayStation VR too. Hey, I really hope Spider-Man 2 has a VR mode. Can you imagine if you play Spider-Man in VR? Oh my God. I ain't gonna lie, that shit would be crazy. It's just like Resident Evil. You can play the complete game in VR or standard. If some kind of way they can harness that and do that, hey, that would be dope. Or maybe even like some VR DLC or something. I kind of really don't care. Shadow says, do you think factions are going to drop this winter? I think it's coming this year. Yes, I think it's coming this year. Carol say, you trying to get nauseous? Hey, listen, I'm being honest. I've never had a weak stomach. So I'm one of those guys that never had to deal with the whole getting sick in VR thing. I do want another SOCOM game. Shout out to my brother Blaze 4K, man. He gave me the code for this game called Within. I think that's the name of it. but it's a Soakem type game and it is fun. It's an alpha, right? So it's a lot of stuff they got to do to the game. But from what I played so far, it brings back so many memories. And I'm like, listen, if they take care of this game and they deliver properly, this could be that game. This could fill that void. Verge Brizzle, my brother said, what did Post Up tell you today? Hey, my brother laying low. Post is laying low. Something tell me, right? I think, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. I don't know, but this Blizzard Activision deal is not going the way that they assumed it would go. This deal should have been wrapped up about now. And if they don't finish this deal by next month, Microsoft has to pay Blizzard Activision $3 to $4 billion. That would be considered a huge L. And then I think they would really start to get pressure from their investors to drop this shit and possibly drop the Xbox completely. So, I'm just, Chav, big facts, brother, big facts. I'm just saying, man, I'm ready for this shit to be over so we can go back to talking about gaming. You got one side talking about the games, the VR games, stuff like that. Then you got the other side talking about these fucking executives and the FTC and this damn Blizzard Activision deal. And at the end of the day, if this shit goes through, it changes nothing for Xbox. As an Xbox console gamer, it changes nothing for you. Nothing at all. So that's why I understand why y'all spending all this time talking about this shit. COD is still going to be everywhere. So it does absolutely nothing for you. And if you're a COD fan, you was buying COD every year anyway. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, there's a big difference. You have gamers who care about the games, and then you have people that just likes being around the gaming community because it's so open. And so I think a lot of those guys tend to be the loudest mouths. When people won't show you their trophy scores or their gamer score or their credentials and Steam accounts and stuff like that, be very wary of those guys. Lewis H said $3 billion will fund the next 10 to 15 Call of Duty games courtesy of Microsoft. None of this will come on Game Pass. Heads gotta roll. Hey, from what I hear, if this deal doesn't go through, Phil might be getting that axe. And according to the reporting, right? I think it was like Forbes or something like that. They may wrap up Xbox. They may call it. And a lot of people say, well, no, they just spent all these billions of dollars on these studios. Yeah, they could sell. A lot of people, I'm gonna be honest, I would love for Sega to get back into the market. I would love someone to help Sega with some funding, help Sega get back into the hardware business. When Sega left, Microsoft stepped in with the Xbox. Well, fuck it. When the Xbox leave, somebody else will step up and take their place. Hopefully Sega. Sega got a shitload of IPs. Shit, have Sega and Capcom merge together, some shit like that, and save up enough pennies and have another run at it. In gaming, we've always had 3 or more companies in the console arena. And just because Xbox goes away doesn't mean that gaming is finna die. That doesn't mean Sony and Nintendo's finna go and jack up prices. That's a fake argument and a fake narrative. The fact that Sony and Nintendo, their bread and butter is gaming, means that they can't do that. They can't alienate their fan bases. They can't. They don't, that's the bulk of their money is gaming. This is why they continuously invest in games. And think about it. Microsoft, the Xbox hasn't been competition in quite a long time, in 2 generations. So to say that we need them here for competition, they haven't competed since the fucking 360 era. So let's stop the cap. Now Steam is not a competition. It's not a competition to consoles. And the reason behind that is because you have to think about it. Everyone likes to tout how many PCs are out in the wild, but technically, when you look at the hardware market, Steam, right? They said the average user, the average gamer, is gaming on a 1060, a GTX 1060. So they don't spend money like that. You got the hardcore, the less than 1%, right? The 0.002% buys the 4090s, the 3090 Ti's, the 3080s, and stuff like that. So that's only, in the grand scheme of things, that's only a handful of people. Everybody else is playing on Intel integrated graphics, and fucking little cheap PCs that can't fucking run a potato, or maybe be able to fucking eke out Fortnite or something like that. But don't let these guys lie to you and say that, everybody has a gaming rig. They don't. The numbers don't lie. You know how old a fucking 1060 is? And that's the average. So there's a lot of people on the lower end that's under that, right? So yeah, and I don't like mixing PC with console. 2 totally different markets, 2 totally different things. Dark Zone said they have not competed since Dunny D. Ain't gonna lie. Listen, I know people didn't like what Dunny D said. When he was talking about the whole online thing, we have a console for you. I mean, he was right in a certain aspect. It's just that wasn't the time to say that. Shout out to Dan S. Shout out to you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing. One Ye said Amazon is coming. Tencent could make something happen. Listen, Amazon could spend that money and buy that hardware division and the software division of Xbox, right? They would obviously get rid of the name. Tencent could do it. They got the money. It's a lot of people out here got a lot of money that could do that. But I'm gonna be honest, I think the Xbox name, the brand, is tarnished already from the last 2 generations. Just it tarnished it. It tore it up, and I think it's irreparable. I'm gonna be honest. You walk in any GameStop, you walk into any gaming forum, it's a lot of it's non-existent. Those glory days of the 360 is over, and it's never coming back. They've already given up on the console. They tell you now Xbox is no longer a console. It's an ecosystem. A Samsung TV is an Xbox. An iPhone, an Android phone is an Xbox. Your web browser, Firefox, is a Chrome, Edge is an Xbox. You see what I'm saying? At summer, yeah, man, Switchback VR. Day one, that's just gonna be scary. Every time you blink in certain areas of the game, those things start coming toward you. Hey, that could be, I guess you remember Kojima's game PT, like the PT demo? That could fill that void if they do it right. And they talking about, oh yeah, we're gonna bring gaming to 150 million more. Like, stop it. Nobody's playing fucking Call of Duty on fucking Switch. Stop it. We know that. Like, let's just stop. It's embarrassing at this point in time. Nobody bought it during the Wii U era. What makes you think they're gonna buy it now? Even if they do come out with more hardware, it's gonna be extremely more underpowered than a current gen console you have now. Think about it. You can pick up a fucking PS5 for $399. The next fucking Switch right now, if you go to the store and get a Switch, a regular Switch is $299. The freaking Switch OLED is what, $349? You see what I'm saying? Come on, man. Don't let these dudes lie to you. Don't you got y'all got common sense. Phil, Satya, all those dudes are just lying. That's what they do. They are liars. For you to go out there and think that these guys aren't going to change something, they aren't going to jack up the rates. Listen, Game Pass rate. Phil went out there saying that, yeah, we don't think it's the right time because of the economy and everything. People are struggling. We don't think there's time to raise the rates and the prices of consoles and games and yada, yada, yada. 2 fucking months later, he went out there and jacked up the prices of his first party games to $70. Then a week later, after he said that bullshit, he went to India and to other different places and jacked up the price of the games there. So he's a fucking liar. Shout out to my brother Kratos99 with the $10. Shout out to you. He said, shout out to you, J-Dub. I love how you piss off these Xbots on Twitter. It's funny. LOL. Hey, man, listen, I'm glad you enjoy it. I do it for the entertainment, man. It's just, I like having a swift comedic reply to some of the stupid shit that I see. And then the fact that it should push Xbox to do better. It should. My brother Dreamwalker, what's good, player? I'm glad you're here. Rashado, yeah, they messed up with the Series S. They should have did what PlayStation did, just made a disc and a discless, and then just let that be that. You gotta have consistent hardware. You can't give devs all these fucking options to try to focus on. You're splitting the teams. All that scaling shit is not that simple. They like to tell you, well, you can just use this and you can just use that. Well, yeah, if they could, these developers would use it, but they're not using it, so stop it. And all these problems they're having with the Series S trying to get games to run on it and the Series X trying to get games to run on it, it's not the developers' fault. Stop blaming these fucking developers. Microsoft's first party developers couldn't even fucking, they had fucking issues. So stop it. You can't say I'm lying. Look what happened to Halo Infinite. These motherfuckers, they scrapping the goddamn fucking engine that they was working on. They're supposedly moving to Unreal, back to Unreal. So don't blame the third party devs when you're not going to blame the first party devs. It's the hardware. Stop it. Carol said, J-Dub, why are people okay with $400 consoles outperforming the $500 consoles? They're okay with it because they have no choice. Phil Spencer has convinced them that games don't matter. He was able to convince them after telling them they would have the world's most powerful console that performance doesn't matter anymore. You know, anytime you keep changing the goalpost, they just roll with it. The same way that they were okay with Sarah Bond walking out on that stage and said, these are the games you're going to be playing in the next 12 months, and turn around and the goddamn games are far beyond the fucking 12-month period. These guys are okay. They're out there making excuses for it. It's too late. I mean, it's too late for them. They're already in the hole. They've already convinced themselves that this is why Microsoft is able to do whatever it does. Nobody's going to check that. He knows the fan base is going to be okay with going all of 2022 with not a single fucking first party game. This is why they do what they do. But I guess the hypocrisy of it is how the Xbox community standards for PlayStation is extremely fucking high, where when a PlayStation first party game doesn't get a 94, 95 Metacritic, it's a flop and a failure. You see what I'm saying? Cooper, I see you, player. Oh, Forspoken is a flop because it got a 70 or whatever it got. But then you can look at Xbox side, and the last fucking 5 games they dropped was fucking a bunch of 50s and 60s, and they're okay with that. They tell you Metacritic doesn't matter. Just play your games. Just have fun. I'm having fun with it. Right? But when it's a PlayStation game, that shit trash. That shit flop. Yada, yada, yada. This is why I don't take these dudes seriously. This is why I piss them off and make them mad. Because at the end of the day, Xbox, listen, a lot of those rabbit dudes, man, going out there attacking these pregnant women regulators and all kind of goofy shit, but they don't hold Phil Spencer to that same standard. Lying to him about games, lying to him about hardware. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think the Xbox Series X is a fucking 12 T-flop system. I think it's a solid 9 T-flop, maybe 10. But in that logic, it's based on the performance. If they were to show me better performance, then maybe I could say, yeah, this is this is a 12 T-flop system. But until then, Immortal Black, my brother, what's good? Shout out to you. Thank you for coming by, man. All I'm saying is just, have the same standard. Sad part about it, you take a game like Hi-Fi Rush, which I think is a good game, right? I'm not knocking it, but it's no system seller, and it's not showing the power that they promised. They promised a lot of shit before these next generation consoles came out. They had microchips in their mouths and everything. But then when the game came out and it's running worse than the 9 T-flop system, the RDNA 1 system, supposedly, right? It has better ray tracing, higher frames, higher resolution. Like, that shit should not be happening. So I'm gonna be honest, I would love to get under the hood of that Xbox Series X, and I want to see how many T-flops they really got. Maybe we need to have a class action lawsuit. Where's the extra T-flops you promised us? Cyan Jolly, shout out to you, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing. Lothric Ahmed in the house. What's good, player? Come on in. Listen, I was told, right? People mocked Mark Cerny when he talked about having the clocks scalable, right? The frequency would change. It wasn't it's crazy. This dude said all this stuff and people, they rubbed his name in dirt. They ostracized him. And now when you look back, right, all that shit came true. All that shit Mark Cerny was saying was true. The SSD is real. That shit kicking ass. The SSD option that he gave you to put your own SSD in there came true. Now look, you can get a 2 terabyte for like $100. The Xbox Series Seagate drive, that shit costs like $400 for a 2 T-flops. It's like, that shit is crazy. PlayStation 5 has better ray tracing. They lied about the X Series X having 25 T-flops of ray tracing power. You know what I'm saying? It's so bad they had to fucking they couldn't even put ray tracing in Halo, a first party game. They promised you high fidelity VR. That was a lie. Everything that they said, it seems like Sony is the ones that delivered on what Microsoft said. And I'm gonna be honest, if you're a gamer, that's the shit that you care about, is that they're delivering on their promises in gaming. They gave you the games. They gave you the next gen games. They gave you the cross gen games. They gave you the VR, right? They gave you the power of the SSD. They giving you all of this shit for $3.99. just $100 more than the Series S. Dark Zone, I seen that. Mark Cerny, they chose him to work on the PS6. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. If I'm Sony, this guy here, Mark Cerny, he is my guy. He's not going anywhere. I'm finna lock him up. Long-term contract. Pay that man whatever he want for the next 4 or 5 consoles. You know, I'll still go on the limb. I think this generation is the last generation for Xbox. Kind of don't matter. It's a wrap. Either they're gonna just stay a huge third-party publisher, or they're just gonna get out of it totally. And they could package it all together, sell off the hardware division, sell off the software division, and just keep it moving, right? They'll make money off of it. The fanboys, right, who've been waiting, they're gonna be hurt. They'll be crying. But most other gamers won't care because Xbox is kind of non-existent worldwide anyway. I mean, it is what it is. Absolutely, Cooper Clips. They already patented the PlayStation all the way through PS10. Yep. I do not think we're going to be getting a PlayStation 5 Pro this generation. I don't. We're just going into the 3rd year, and they hadn't even cracked open any of the they're not close to maxing out the horsepower on it. So we're just starting to get the next generation games to the point where they're just making next generation games. So all the cross-gen games are just starting. We're at the end of it. It takes third party a lot longer than the first party. Sony said that they're projecting to be at about 62 million consoles, PS5 sold by this fiscal year. So that means in 3 years they've sold, I mean, on average, that would have been about 20 million consoles a year. And that's typical. That's what they did last generation on average. My brother Overdone with the memes. He says pineapple does not belong on pizza. Absolutely, my brother. I'm with you. Keep those pineapples off my pizza. By the way, the PlayStation 5 has been breaking records, man. It's selling 400%, well, positive 400% around the world. In Japan, United States, Canada, South America, Europe, UK, all of that. That's we kept saying that the only thing was holding the PS5 back was the fact that you couldn't get your hands on any. Shout out to my brother Buck. What's up, Buck? Yep, crossed 3 million copies in Japan. Listen, they got the games, they have the knowledge, they have VR, they're delivering on all the fronts, so you kind of can't be mad at that. You know, can't hate the player, you gotta hate the game. I can't wait for Street Fighter 6. I can't wait for Tekken. I can't wait for Mortal Kombat 12. Final Fantasy 16, can't wait for that. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, can't wait for that. It's a lot of games coming. Buck Roger in the house. What's good, player? Yeah, I think at the end of the day, for most developers, I think the clock speeds are where they want to be. Higher the clocks, the better. They can sacrifice other things, but clock speeds will always get you where you need to be. I mean, you got dudes out here talking about, well, Xbox can't take advantage of stuff until they use the full power of the DX12. And they can't use it because the PS5 doesn't use it. So developers aren't going to use it. I'm like, okay, let's say that's true. What about your first party? Why first party can't use it? Why those first party devs can't use all the power of the Xbox Series X? You ask that question, then they're going to start waffling. But you got to remember, you just can't make a game for the Series X. You got to make it for the Series S as well. And that's where that shit falls apart. Listen, PS5 is finna sell gangbusters this June. It's already breaking records, right? The plus 400%. But imagine when Final Fantasy 16 dropped. Like I said before, it's gonna drop like a nuke. A lot of people are underestimating the brand of Final Fantasy. And they built it exclusively for the PS5. Sony sent their developers over there to work on that game and made sure that they had everything they needed, from a hardware spec wise, from an SDK perspective, and everything else. So you're gonna get all the features: the 3D audio, the ray tracing. You're gonna get the frames mode. You're gonna get the HDR. You're gonna get the haptic feedback. Just everything. Then they're gonna wrap up the end of the year with Spider-Man 2. That's gonna sell gangbusters because we know we got Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2 coming out this summer. So it's like it's a perfect, man. That man, listen. Sony is a powerhouse not just because of their games and their console. It's because they got the music, right? They're tying in the music. They're tying in the TV shows. They're tying in the movies. They're tying in everything. We got the Gran Turismo movie coming out. They've built specific Sony cameras specifically for the movie so they can give you a Gran Turismo 7 type feel in the movie. Think about that. These guys aren't fucking around. These guys, they take their IP seriously. They take their craft seriously. They're in it. They're into it for the artistry and for the culture. That's something Microsoft don't have. Microsoft is a bunch of suits that are just fucking throwing money at shit, but they don't value, they don't create nothing. Jez Gordon from Windows Central said that before. And that's the difference. That's the difference between Nintendo. That's the difference between Sony, and that's the difference between Microsoft. Those guys, they have culture, they have value, they're in it for the artistry as well, you know. They're a corporation, they want to make money. But when people knock Nintendo because of the prices of the game, Nintendo said, listen, when we made this game, we felt like this is the price point for this game, and we don't want to diminish that at all. We made this game for $50. We did our research and development on this game. This is what it is. Why the fuck I'm gonna sell you my fucking game that took my blood, sweat, and tears for fucking $5? Why would I take that shit and throw it in a goddamn cheap ass service? I felt that. I felt that. You got to feel that when, you know, there's just something in your life where this is the value of this. I'm not going to sell this for a dime less. You know, I'm in the cars, right? So I got certain cars where if I sell it, I'm not going to sell it for a dime less. This car, let's say this car $50,000. To me, it's worth 50,000. To somebody else, it could be worth 10. It could be worth $5. But who cares? I'm not going to sell it for a dime less than $50,000. And I felt Nintendo when they said that. They respect their IPs, they trust their developers, and they typically deliver. It is what it is. That Zelda, that shit's gonna drop like a nuke. Spider-Man, when it drop, it's gonna drop like a nuke. Starfield, when it drop, some tell me it's gonna drop like a wet fart. Then people are going to go back to say, oh, well, it's not Microsoft's fault. Microsoft just bought them. That's really Bethesda. That's their thing. They've always did that. That's when the fucking excuses come in. But, which I hope happen, if Starfield comes out, it's a 90 Metacritic game. It's great. It's a great game. No bugs. They're going to give Microsoft all the credit. It's going to be Phil. Yeah. Kudos to Phil. He had this planning for the last 10 years. It was his idea. He got in there and he did the coding himself. He added the ray tracing himself. He's a great programmer. This is the type of shit you're going to hear. But if it's a dud, they're going to shield the fuck out of Phil Spencer. Well, it's not Phil Spencer's fault. They were already working on that. You gotta blame this Joe Blow. You gotta blame Joe Blow for that. That's literally what they do. Paul G, my brother, was good. Listen, we see the mental gymnastics. You know what I'm saying? We know how we've been at this shit for quite some time. We know what they're gonna do. We've seen it before. It's just like Hi-Fi Rush. Oh my God. Kudos, Phil. He still dropped this game. We knew it was a banger. It's a goatee. It's a goatee. Ain't never like fucking 10% of the people fucking completed the goddamn game. And the game ain't never, 6-7 hours? 8, maybe 8? But these motherfuckers want to blame Sony for Forspoken. Yeah, I told you that Jim Line Ryan, he was in the studio cooking, he was in there developing, he fucked it up. He programmed wrong. He needs to be fired. You see what I'm saying? This is what they do. And this is why I do what I do. 'Cause these dudes, they don't operate in reality. They operate off of their emotions. I always ask them when they talk about Starfield, I said, what makes you so confident that Starfield is going to come out a banger? Oh, because you know what? Because it's Fallout in space. I said, okay. I agree with you. It's Fallout in space. What was the Metacritic score of the last Fallout game they made? Oh, well, you kind of can't, they start waffling, right? They start waffling, they start walking backwards, because when I bring up Fallout 76, being a 43 Metacritic or some shit like that, extremely low score. Oh, well, that you kind of can't count that. That was the B team. That was the B team. That wasn't the A team. It's the A team making Starfield now. The A team. This is the goofy shit that these motherfuckers say. They're to the point where they started back with the whole A team, B team shit. And I tell them, I don't care if it's the Z team that made it. They work for Bethesda. Bethesda is owned by Microsoft. It is what it is. You can't take credit for the good and not the bad. My brother Parker, big time objective in the house. The OLED warlord is in the house, y'all. Salute to my brother, man. He was the first man on the planet with a C1. Yeah, the Fallout 76 was a 49 on Metacritic. Yeah, man. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. The only thing that's gonna make Starfield sell is the PC. If the PC dudes come through and buy that game, I think it'll do well. because they're gonna take the game and mod it. It'll make for a good streaming game, and I think that's the craze. It's not about whether the game is good or not. If it's a game that you can mod, it'll get a lot of content. People will go and mod these characters, strip the clothes off of them, and do all kind of weird shit. Listen, Todd Howard, he's doing what he got to do. That man is giving lip service, and he knows his check is already deposited to his account, so it doesn't matter if the game is good or not. He already said he's afraid, right? He's afraid that that game has to be a system seller. And he's not used to selling consoles. And this is the problem with Xbox, is every single game that drops has to be a system seller for it. It has to be that game. If Redfall comes out and it fails, huge disappointment for everybody, because everybody wanted it to be, again, the system seller. If it comes out, get 90 Metacritic, everyone's gonna hype the fuck out of that game. Oh, it's the greatest. It's a goatee. It's a goatee. It's a goatee. But if it flop, just play your games. Metacritic doesn't matter. They're gonna patch it. They'll find somebody else to blame, but they won't blame Phil Spencer. I'm not gonna say I'm shocked, but where the fuck is Forza? Where's the release date to Forza? We know Starfield now is delayed. I can only assume that Forza is gonna launch after that, so it's probably gonna be this holidays, right? Another failure, another lie. Fable is going through development hell. Avowed is development hell. Everything is in development hell. Where the hell is Hellblade? They showed what Hellblade in 2018, 2019? Bruh. Like, come on, man. What are we doing here? The General was good, the General. I'm just saying, man, like, they fucking up without Blizzard Activision. Imagine giving them Blizzard Activision, giving them all of the access to all of those games. My God. Their incompetence is gonna know no bounds. Shit. I'm just saying, man, like, yeah, I saw that, Billy. He said the Hellblade devs are still in Iceland taking pictures. And I'm not gonna lie, man, that's, my God, that just shows me all this time and all y'all got is some goddamn, y'all still taking pictures? We can't get no clips. They got 32 studios. And none of that shit ready. So you gotta depend on having another 20-something studios from Blizzard Activision. Yeah. This I'm being honest. These are just not the guys that I want to trust with gaming. If you've been in gaming for 22 plus years, and you've been the last place in every generation, why should I trust you with the world's largest IP and one of the largest development teams out there, publishers out there? That's the stuff that just don't make any sense to me. Like, really make it make sense. Johnny said, if it's a flop, it's a wrap. Listen, man, Todd Howard said himself, man, he's kind of scared, man, because he is so much pressure on Starfield to deliver, and not. I ain't talking about no 70 Metacritic, no 75. I ain't talking about no midi. It can't be no mediocre. See, I said I don't want no mediocre. It can't be mediocre. It has to hit with a megaton. I'm gonna be honest, it gotta do God of War. It has to be the Xbox version of God of War. As far as critical reception, it has to be. I already know Windows Central, Survivor, IGN, we already know they're gonna give it a 10 out of 10, no matter what state it comes in, right? We know this. Look how they did us with fucking the goddamn Cyberpunk, right? They sold us on Cyberpunk. We know how that went down. So we know the pro Xbox channels are going to say it's the best thing ever, right? But remember when they said Sea of Thieves was the game of the generation? That shit came out like a wet fart, right? Sure, 2-3 years down the line, they was able to redeem themselves and make it good, but all the same. Do you really want to wait 4 or 5 more years for them to fix a game? Don John Sean. Yep, he said it right. Exactly. Listen, that quote is listen, I'm gonna screen cap that quote because this is exactly what's gonna happen. Like he said, they're gonna say, "Don't worry." He said, "Don't worry, mods will save the game in 2025." So IGN will give it a 9 out of 10. Big facts. Big facts. Paul G says, "The series potato is hurting gaming." Oh man, stall them out. Listen, Series S is doing nobody any favors. You know, I'll say that. It's not helping them at all. Either they need to start putting out Switch type games across the board and just say fuck all the graphically stuff and just run with that. But once the Unreal Engine 5 games come out to run and shit, it's a wrap, man. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Sylvia, shout out to you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it with the $10. I definitely appreciate it. Salute to you. Thank you for that. Appreciate the love, everybody. I appreciate the love. I'm gonna be honest. I think this gen Xbox may sell 40 million consoles, 45 million. They'll probably do what they did last generation. You know, probably. I see a lot of people going to PC. I see a lot of these dudes are going to be so salty. They're going to be so mad if Xbox got out of gaming like that. They're just going to go to PC. Some of them will buy a PS5 and they'll just keep it on the hush. They'll just be hating every day. They'll just be mad. They'll be mad gaming. Shout out to my brother, always mad gaming. Look at that. Praise God. Praise God. We got my brother Thrash in the house. Yeah, but I think a lot of these guys, I think they're going to be so hurt and so upset They're gonna try to save face. They're not even gonna talk a lot of shit. They're just gonna say, "Oh, this is bad for gaming," and I blame Sony. They did what they did to Sega. They ran Sega out of business. I blame Sony. Soldier for life in the house. What's good, my brother? What's good with you? Listen, I'm gonna be honest. I don't want that to happen. But let's face it, Xbox hasn't been relevant in gaming for 2 generations now. What's the point of just existing? Nintendo is thriving. When they drop their next generation console, handheld or whatever, that's just gonna drop like a nuke. Sony first party games be dropping like nukes. Their VR drop like a nuke. Mark my words, PS VR 2 is going to not only outsell PS VR 1, but you're going to be thoroughly surprised when they come out the actual numbers. Everybody on my friends list has fucking PSVR 2. Yeah, Carol, that was one of the quotes that we heard these guys saying. They said it's Sony's fault that Sega didn't make any more consoles. Most of those dudes weren't even around in gaming back then, because if they did, they would remember what happened. It was Sega's own fault. Sega of Japan was beefing with Sega of America. Sega of America wanted to do the fucking they weren't ready to go to next gen yet. They wanted to focus on that 32X hardware upgrade, the little attachment. They was focusing on that. Sega of Japan was like, hell no, we don't want to do that. We want to focus on the next generation console. So they focused on the Saturn. So you had 2 competing products out there in the world. No communication between the 2. Then on top of that, when they came out with the Dreamcast, they're just going to do a stealth drop. They didn't let nobody knew. None of the retailers knew. So now the retailer's going to be like, wait, I don't have any floor space for your stuff because you didn't tell me. I don't have no marketing material. I don't have nothing. And you're telling me you're dropping this shit today? Then on top of that, they didn't want to work with EA. I kind of understand why. I mean, they had a competing sports franchise and stuff like that, but still, back then you got to realize we had Joe Montana football, Bill Walsh football, Madden football, Quarterback Club. I mean, it was a million other football games out there. There was competition, and everybody just fought. They put their games out there and they just let the chips fall where they may. Yeah, I'm correct. Correction. Okay. AC, I'm correct. Saturn was a stealth drop. My bad. It's been a long time, brother. Long time. But y'all know what I'm saying. PlayStation didn't make that shit go away. That was a management issue. It's kind of like what Xbox have right here. It's a management issue. If Xbox goes away, it'll go away because it was, a management issue. Shout out to my sister, Red Infamy in the highs. What's good, gal? Hope you're doing good. I'm not gonna lie, those are the good old days, though. When PlayStation 1 launched, man, it launched like a nuke. But even then, you still had Nintendo 64, Sega Saturn. Shit, you even had, 3DO? Neo Geo CD? It was a lot of competition out there. True Virgil, stop being messy. Talking about Joe Montana football is still coming out, according to Z. According to Z. I remember that, man. They insider told him because Joe Montana had visited Microsoft headquarters that they was making a Joe Montana exclusive football for the Xbox One. I remember that, man. That was epic. That shit was epic. I still be reminding Z of that back then. Yeah, Sony had 989 Sports. Microsoft, right? They had XSN, NFL Fever. They had their NBA game, Inside Drive. Back in the OG Xbox days, they had games, they had their exclusives, they had their different division. Man, it was so much competition back then. And then I think with the 360 just took it to the next level. And then after that with the Xbox, they just never recovered. Microsoft just never recovered after the Xbox One. Most companies are able to recoup a stumble, right? Even the PS3, Sony stumbled big time. They not only had to hack, the console came out $200 more expensive than the competition, lack of games. They didn't even have Rumble in the controller. So any and everything that could have went wrong that generation went wrong for Sony, but they were still able to recoup. They slimmed the shit down. They dropped the price. They made it cheaper. They took all the memory card slots out of there, got rid of the stuff people didn't care about. They started dropping some good first party games, Uncharted 1, Uncharted 2. They created a bunch of new IPs, right? The Last of Us series was created in. It was able to recoup. Look at the Wii U. Look what Nintendo did. They stumbled with the Wii U. They were able to recoup. You don't just stumble and fall and just stay on the ground and say, fuck it, I don't want to get up. If I can't win a race, I just don't want to give up. I'm just going to give up in general. I'm going to try all kind of other shit. No, you dust yourself off and you get back up. This is why I still say that I like the reports of Jim Ryan telling them, no, I just don't want the deal to go through. Listen, I agree with that. He's doing what's best for his interest of his company, his shareholders, and his fan base. He gives his fan base first dibs on the betas, the alphas, the extra content, the time content, the early launch, and he does that. Those are the deals that they pay for. And you're gonna tell him he can't do that anymore? No, he's not gonna take that line down. He's doing what he's supposed to do. So yeah, you might call him Lion Jim Ryan, but at the end of the day, I'm not knocking him for doing what he's supposed to do. Microsoft out there taking full page ads saying, oh, if they would only let this deal go through, then we can give access to 150 more gamers. And I'm like, wait, right now, you don't even have to own an Xbox to play the games. There's billions of people with PCs. There's billions of people with cell phones. There's billions of people that have web browsers and tablets like iPads and Android, all that stuff. You have access to billions of people right now. And yet your install base is extremely small. Nobody's partaking. You can buy your Samsung TV right now and play all your Xbox games. Why is nobody doing that? Where are all these billions of people at that they claim that they're going to get? Where are these 150 million people at? They have access to them now. That's because it's all lies. Those people don't exist. Let me tell you something. Let me break some news to you. Xbox has only had about 45 million people in its install base in all of its 22 years. Even in the Xbox 360 in the PS3 era. They reported they sold 85 to 87 million consoles. And most people would think, yeah, their install base was 87 million. It was never 87 million. They were accounting for all the systems that was red ring of death. Remember, they literally had to replace every single system up until that 30 to 40 million point. So all they did was just count the systems that they replaced. Those weren't actual users. No, if I buy a console and it's a red ring of death, you have to replace it. Microsoft will count that as 2 consoles instead of 1 console, because technically you're going to take my console, throw it in the trash, and give me a new one. PlayStation now has always had about 87 because I mean, you think about the PlayStation 1, then you think about the PlayStation 2, 150 something million units, right? So let's say Sony has 150 million people in its install base. Let's say that. Okay. That was the PS2. The PS3, because of the price, because it being $600, you're going to lose a lot of people. It didn't have Rumble in the controller. You're going to lose a lot of people. A lot of those people went to the Xbox. The OG Xbox only sold, what, 12, 13 million units? So that's not a big install base. So tack on those 13, 14 million to the people that you lost, that you gained from being mad at Sony because of the PS3, right? That's your install base right there, 40, 45, 47 million. How many Xbox Ones did they sell last generation? They sold 47, 48 million copies. We know that because of the whole Epic versus Apple lawsuits. When that lawsuits came, they subpoenaed Phil Spencer's emails, and we found out the true number of how many consoles they sold last generation. 48 million. So to think that you're magically going to come up with 150 million, like that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. Shout out to Seven City. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. Salute to you. Absolutely. The Xbox 360 had a 50% red ring of death rate. Absolutely. So it was disingenuous to say the Xbox 360 era, they sold 87 million. They didn't sell 87. They sold about 47 million consoles. 50% of those were replaced. Simple, right? It's simple. This is why the Xbox One era, right? It was bad. I'm not gonna lie, it was bad. But it really wasn't that anything out of the ordinary for them. Their install base has only ever been about 40 million. Give or take, right? Fuck it, give them 50. This generation, they'll probably sell 40, maybe. I mean, hell, we're what, 2 years in? Sony is already at probably 40 million right now. They're at 32 last record since January. And they've been selling 400% over the last 2 months. So clearly, you know what I'm saying? Sony has always had a large install base. It's just, they just got the games that people care about. They have the hardware that people kind of care about, you know, and at the end of the day, that's all you need. And they make profits off of their hardware. You can't knock that man for doing what's best for, listen, I wish Phil Spencer would do what's best for his install base. For him canceling Scalebound and saying it's good for the gamers, for him saying that he was going to make up for the Street Fighter V being exclusive and not doing that, for him going all of 2022 with no games, for him launching not 1 but 2 next generation consoles with no first party games. At what point will you start to say, hey, listen, maybe this guy doesn't have my interest at heart? I'm just asking. True Virgil said they never released the failure rate numbers, but in their earnings report, it says 54%. He said he can go back and read the reports. He have stock. Listen, I'm going to be honest. There's a documentary. Xbox did a documentary. B Staples, my brother. Absolutely. Microsoft had a documentary and they talked about that. When that Red Ring of Death came out, they went into Steve Ballmer and say, hey, we got to fix this. And he asked, how much is it going to take to fix it? And they told him, like, I think it was like a couple of billion. And this was like early on in the generation. They had to do it. They had no choice. So technically, yes, Microsoft has never made any money on its hardware. In over 22 years, none, nada. Here we are again. 2 next generation consoles. Developers are complaining. They want you to remove the parity between the Series S and X because the S is holding the X back. They're going to have to remove whole modes. They can't get Baldur's Gate to run on it. Baldur's Gate 3, which is the next generation only game. It's a problem, man. Billy, it cost them $2 to $3 billion to fix that Red issue, I think. Yeah, so I'm not taking the boo-hoos from Microsoft. They're holding us back in gaming. We can't compete. Well, let us compete. Let them compete. You drop your game September the 6th, your flagship game. All right, cool. Jim Ryan, I think you need to go ahead and drop that Spider-Man 2 on January the 6th. Let them compete. Why not, right? That's the competition I'm looking for. Y'all remember, let me take you back just a little bit. I'm an old school gamer. I remember when Sony would have Crash Bandicoot to show up at Nintendo headquarters with a goddamn megaphone saying, "Hey, plumber boy, come on out. I'm looking for you, ready to whoop Mario's ass." Those are the good old days. I miss that competition. Nintendo got a new Mario game dropping. Cool. We're going to drop our Crash Bandicoot same goddamn week. Let them compete. That's the competition I'm talking about. That was good, fun competition. Nintendo did the same thing. Sega did the same thing. Sony did the same thing. Y'all remember the tagline? Sega does what Nintendo don't. Everybody was gunning for Nintendo, man. Nintendo was the king of the hill. They weren't out here crying and whining. They weren't running full ads in papers talking about, they won't let us compete. Sega go out there and talk about that blast engine. And, they'll have a dragster and stuff, and they'll show Sonic going really fast across the screen, and then they'll show like Mario Kart going all slow and stuff. That's the competition. Let the games compete. You compete in the games, not this bullshit. Even in the PS4 era, Yoshida and them came out there. This is how you share your games. That shit is epic. See, Sony has a sense of humor. Sony has always been part of the fuck shit. Peter Moore just tweeted out the other day, somebody brought up with Peter Moore poking fun at Sony and stuff like that. Like, that was part of a healthy generation. That was part of the console war, because that rallied their troops. That rallied the Xbox fan base. And that also, on the flip side, that rallied the Sony fan base. This is what competition used to be about. It wasn't about no goddamn executives out here shaking hands and jumping in party chats and being fanboys. Now you out there crying, talking about they won't let us compete. Sick, absolutely. Microsoft put a full page ad in the paper Somebody go send that to Sick on Twitter. These dudes out here, I mean, it's embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie, man, it's embarrassing. That's not the gaming I remember. I'm telling you, dudes, the gaming these days has turned people into a bunch of wussies. They won't let us compete. It is crazy, man. Hey, check your I tagged you on Twitter, Sick. Listen, if you're in gaming to compete. You're competing against Nintendo, you're competing against Sony with the PlayStation. And if you're Microsoft, you own Xbox. So your job is to compete with them. Make good games, make good hardware, the people will come. You don't have the games. You fucked up the hardware because you got the Series S, right? That's always going to hold back the Series X. It's either you shit or you get off the pot. I ain't gonna lie. They need to either they're gonna be all in on the gaming in the console. I'm not talking about all that cloud, this la la land bullshit they talking about. I'm talking about real console gaming. You either go all in on gaming or you get out. No half-assing it. This is a industry where you can't half-ass. Look what happened to Google. They got into gaming half-ass. They had a great service. The latency was very small. It was a good service. It's just they was half-assing it because they didn't have the games. And nobody's gonna buy a multi-plat that's stream only. Like, come on. Who's gonna do that? Some you don't own? Nah. Somebody will come. Somebody will money hat Sega. Sega will come back. They'll rally back. We'll support it. We'll buy it. They may get their ass kicked for a generation or two, but they'll be back in the game. I'm gonna be honest. I hope Amazon or Tencent or somebody money hat Sega. Get them back in here. Get them back in the game. Let's get Peter Moore or somebody back in the game. Get them over there at Sega. Get them to run this shit for Sega of America again. But Microsoft needs to stay far away. They need to stay far away because they're not serious about it. They're telling their fan base Xbox is no longer a console. It's an ecosystem. If that did not rub me the wrong way, I took my X Series X to GameStop and sold it and haven't looked back. I'm not waiting no fucking 5 years for them to come out with some fucking games and figure out what they want to do. Some of the best gaming, man, was Sega versus Nintendo. Sega versus Nintendo versus TurboGrafx 16 versus 3DO versus a shitload of other people that been trying to break into the industry. It is what it is. And the sad part about it is these dudes have $2 trillion at their disposal. They got caught up back in the Xbox One generation. They didn't know if they wanted to continue with gaming or not, so they didn't invest for 3 whole years. And then when they finally decide, yeah, we want to continue, it's too late. You're 3 years behind, and they're still playing catch up, and they'll never catch up. Nintendo and Sony is always fucking doing new stuff. They're always releasing games. They're always investing in all this stuff. They're not gonna wait 3 years for you to catch up. And you can't buy your way at the front of the line. That's literally what they're trying to do. They're trying to buy their way in the front of the line. I'm sorry, sir. Your money's no good here. BLVK is dead. Black is dead. He said, you so heated over a plastic box that you sold it instead of having boat to widen your opinions, your options. We're adults. Listen, I've always owned an Xbox. Always, since day one, since the OG Xbox. I've had the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X since day one. Me having that box in my home is doing what for me? What options do I have? What void is that box filling? I got a PC. That box being in my home does nothing to widen my options. Especially when it's hampered by my Series S. So there's your answer. Nobody needs a fucking Xbox. Remember, Xbox is no longer a console. So clearly that classic box means nothing, sir, according to Phil Spencer. We got the lisp of YouTube in the house, the general of PlayStation Nation, Mr. Whoops himself, Jay Barry in the house. Shout out to you, Barry. I appreciate you, my brother. I appreciate you. Jay Barry with the $10. Stand with Jim. Hold it down, Mr. Ryan. Big facts. Big facts. Tell them to kiss your ass. You want the deal canceled and you not negotiating shit. Jim Ryan said, we don't negotiate with terrorists. Oh, man. My man Jim Ryan said, we don't negotiate with terrorists. Oh, man. Oh, man. Listen, having that diehard stance, it is what it is. It is what it is. You can't cry and say, this man is doing this and this man... Listen, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's taking care of his fan base. He's just delivered the highest fidelity VR money can buy. Along with 40 games, 40 plus games. He has the best racer on the market. He has the best God on the market. He has the best spider on the market. He got Marvel sold up. I mean, what else could you want? And I think that's what makes the guys so rabid. I think that's what makes a lot of the guys in the Xbox community so rabid, where they're just attacking Lena Khan, attacking Joe Biden, attacking, a lot of these regulatory folks. I mean, it's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. But it is what it is. I think guys will continue to be mad whether the deal goes through, right? Let's say the deal goes through today. As a console gamer, how does that help you? As an Xbox console gamer, what does that do for you? Because a lot of the stuff on the outskirts, it takes years for that shit to come to fruition. What they gonna do? Take a bunch of the old Call of Duties and throw them in Game Pass? Do you really want to play the first Call of Duty? Like, seriously? You have access to play all the old shit now, and you don't play it, so it don't really matter. Absolutely, Paul G. He said Phil got these bots fighting for a $2 trillion corporation. All while not having no games. Yeah, shut up, man. That boy Jez Corden said, man, I'm ashamed to be from the UK. I'm ashamed to be European. Because the goddamn CMA UK and the European Union is not letting that wealthy American corporation take over games that I don't play. Y'all see how goofy that shit sound? Like I said, I wouldn't have a problem with it if Microsoft was actually fighting in gaming, if they was actually doing games justice, but they just fucked up their flagship IP. And we're gonna trust them with the biggest IP out there? Like, come on, man. My brother Eddie, what's good, player? I see you. Salute to you. Thank you for stopping by, brother. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, if this deal don't go through, Activision gonna get paid. They're gonna get paid $3 to $4 billion from Microsoft. But I think a bigger deal is, this is all public. This is all for public. They're gonna be right back at Sony's doorstep. Hey, Sony, let's extend that contract that you currently have. Yeah, friend. You know, we had to just, talk bad about you and dirty your name in the streets just because we want the deal to go through. But it didn't go through now, but we cool. We back cool. They'll be back good. This is all for show, guys. That's all it is. These Blizzard Activision executives, they're looking, if they get bought out, they're gonna get a huge multi-million-dollar payout. And I ain't gonna lie, if I work for them, I'll be doing the same thing. I'll be trying to get this deal done. I'll be dirtying Jim Ryan's name. I'll be talking shit about Sony. I'll be seeing how anti-consumer they are. Shit, if I get $5-10 million just for this shit to go through, why not? Don John Sean said, J-Dub, can you explain why Forza hasn't charted anywhere with Forza bundles being sold? Because, sir, the Xbox is no longer a console, it's an ecosystem. When you say that, and that's the mentality you have, you're not going to get any more sales. Billy, yes, it's a possibility after this, if this deal doesn't go through, the entry fee, that marketing deal that Sony gets, Sony is going to get that for a hell of a lot cheaper. Because now Sony can sit back and say, okay, yeah, we don't want that marketing deal anymore. We don't care. The game is still going to be on our platform, but we're not going to pay you $7 million to get early access and all that shit. You can give it to Microsoft if you want, but their fan base don't buy games. Microsoft is not going to pay you to get a marketing deal. That's the reason Sony got it, because Microsoft gave it up. They didn't want to spend any money for the marketing deal when they had the small install base. The game is not going to be in Game Pass. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to hardware sales, when it comes to game sales, Xbox is always going to be on the ass end. The dudes, the fan base just don't buy games like that. You know, they don't win. They don't get NPD shit like that. So it's don't worry. The president of Microsoft himself got on that stage and showed these graphs and charts that showing that Sony is 80% of gaming and they're only 20%. That said enough to anybody. That was enough. That's all you needed to see. That was like holding up a sign at the corner that says "We'll work for food." By the way, guys, what time is the I think isn't Capcom doing a show or something like that? What time is that? I don't want to take you guys away from that. If anybody know, put it in the chat. There's supposed to be a couple of shows today. I definitely want to check that out. Yeah, sick. Hey man, I'm gonna work out all of this stuff on how to invite people and do all of that stuff. I got this Streamlabs. It was working janky earlier. I hadn't updated in about 2 years. So yeah, I might have to call you and get your help on how to set a lot of this stuff up. Okay, he said it's 5:10 Eastern. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. So in another hour, they're gonna have a show. Okay. My brother Jazz. Salute to Jazz with the Grindhouse. Y'all go sub to that good brother. Thank you for the $2. He said Jim Ryan told Phil he can keep his marshmallows. Big facts, brother. Big facts. Hey Bar, you like that beat, huh? Yeah, man. Maybe about a year ago, my brother All Day, man, he whipped up something for me. That's like my little chill music. He had to give it a little H-Town flavor, you know what I'm saying? But like I'm saying, man, listen, nobody capping for Jim Ryan and nothing like that. I'm just saying, I got to warm up to this guy because y'all know we was partial to Sean Layden, right? We was kind of like ride or die Sean Layden. I mean, some of the best shows, events, games, all came out under Sean Layden. And then when Jim Ryan came, it was like, oh man, this dude finna fuck up shit. Jim Ryan kind of changed a few things around that pissed a lot of people off, especially with the attitude towards PC, the attitude towards some services and stuff like that. But you know, at the end of the day, it's corporations and their job is to make money. When you're looking across the aisle and you're seeing all these other companies making money off of some of this shit, why can't we? You know, and as an executive, I understand him. I understand that avenue. But at the same time, he kind of, you know, he kind of eased my mind when it came to some things. For one, he walked out on stage and say, listen, I'm not gonna bore you motherfuckers. I just came up here to say that PlayStation is great. We will forever care about the console. We only care about the console. And we're gonna shut up and do the games do the talking. And he said that. I said, yeah, that's what I needed to know. That's what I needed to know. For sure, sick. For sure. But you know what I'm saying? I'm just put it like this. He ain't fucked it up yet, right? Even if this shit is on cruise control right now, he ain't fucked it up yet. We still got high fidelity VR 2. We still got Wolverine, Spider-Man, all of the goatees that we want, right? He ain't fucked it up yet. So that's kudos to that. Look what happened when they got rid of Donny D. The ship starts sinking, right? So I'm just giving Jim Ryan kudos, right? For having the balls to stand up to the $2 trillion giant and telling them to kiss his ass. They're gonna have to fight for Call of Duty. You see what I'm saying? So, I'm gonna be honest, I can't wait for this whole FTC shit. I can't wait for this Blizzard Activision deal to either go through or not go through. so we can just get back to what matters, and that's the games. Xbox will go back to having no games, and we'll go back to teasing them about our games. That is simple. That's enormity. That's that perfect balance. That's that Thanos balance. Facts, sick facts. That's what I was trying to tell people. Even if shit go to PC, the majority of the people are PlayStation gamers. It's just quite naturally we're just gonna, every now and then it might be a game you might say, I'm gonna cop this on PC, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But you got to think about it, right? Not all the games are gonna be fucking good on PC. Them motherfuckers coming out broken. They're coming out buggy. They're coming out everything else. I mean, it's just the problems that you have with PC. I'm a console guy at heart. I got a high-end PC and I play games on PC and yada yada whatever. But at the end of the day, I would rather be to the confinements of my sofa with my feet kicked up, of my gaming chair, my lazy boy, chilling. If you're working all day and you at the office and you sitting in your computer chair, you don't want to fucking come home and sit in more computer chair. You know what I'm saying? Now I do use my PC for my racing sims and stuff like that, and my flight rigs and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, man, picking up a DualSense controller will always kind of like be my home base. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. You can bash Jim Ryan all you want. I'm gonna be honest, nobody really gives a fuck about Jim Ryan like that, especially PlayStation Nation. We don't really care. Like, fuck that. We just care about the games. PlayStation dudes never cared about the executives. It's never been about the executives to the PlayStation guys. It's always been about the games. It's always been about the goaties. It's always been about the bangers. We don't care who's behind the scene making the shit happen as long as they making it happen. But with the Xbox side, it's the reverse. They don't care about the games. They care about the executives. And that's a problem. And that's why I think they need to, I think Xbox need to go, man. If they're not gonna compete for the highest echelon of gaming and the top tier gaming, they need to go. They're no good. They're no good. They're no good. They're no good. Baby, they're no good. Anyway, man, I'm finna get ready to get out of here, man. Thank y'all all for rocking out with me, man. Seeing the whole crew here, Jez, Sick, Thrash, Bari, everybody came through, man. Everybody. Don, John, Sean fell through. Billy, always bad game. Carol, always there. I just, I don't know, man. It's gonna be an interesting year. But I will tell you this before I go. If this deal does not go through, boy, y'all ain't seen nothing. Nah, Sick, I ain't gonna stream it, man. I'm gonna just watch it. Cause I gotta go pick up my son and stuff to get out of school. But I'm definitely gonna catch it. If you stream it, I'm gonna watch your stream. Hell, I'll jump on the AirPods and I'll jump in there with you if you gonna stream. Anyway, thank y'all for coming, man. I appreciate it. Thank y'all for the love and the support and stuff. I will holler at you guys later. Shout out to my man Bari. He said, "Stop the deal, Jim." Big facts. Jim Ryan said, "Man, listen, I got more respect for Jim Ryan now than I had a week ago." He literally told these dudes, Kiss my ass. Cancel this deal. I can dig that. I can dig it. Anyway, y'all take it easy. My brother. Everybody that came rocked out with me, man. Salute to y'all. We've been live a little bit over 2 hours. I appreciate it. Y'all take it easy. I'm gonna see y'all on Twitter. Y'all check me out on the podcast, man. Over there, Next Gen 720 podcast, Porter Rocks podcast, 60 frame, no lag. I'm always popping up on my brother podcast, the No Cap podcast over there with Sick, man. Over there with the Grinders, chopping it up. Over there with Jez. Anyway, man, y'all take it easy. Your boy up out of here.